What has brought India's farmers to the streets? Tens of thousands of farmers are protesting against new market friendly laws. Just like the big fish eat small fish, big businesses will eat us up now, says a farmer camping outside India's capital Delhi. Tens of thousands of farmers are now in a grinding standoff with Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata led Bharatiya Janata Party led government demanding the repeal of three market friendly laws. For nearly a week, the protesting farmers, joined by their families and friends, have braved winter cannons and tear gas and choked the capital's borders. They have set up camps, cooked and slept in the open in the bitter cold. This protest is unique. It is not driven by politics or religion. In fact, the politicians are reacting to it, says Devinder Sharma, a food and trade policy analyst. In September, a key ally of the government quit. In September, a key ally of the government quit in protest against the laws. Farmers have been on the boil in India for some years now. More than half of Indians work on farmers, but farming accounts for barely a sixth of the country's GDP. Declining productivity and lack of modernization have long hobbled progress. Plot sizes are shrinking, as are incomes from farming. Prices can be wildly erratic, and middlemen from cartels middlemen form cartels and gobble up much of the profits. The anger over injustice to farmers was brewing. Now it's getting channelized through this protest against the new laws. Mr. Sharma says. On the face of it, India's farmers shouldn't be complaining. The government provides them generous subsidies, exemption from income tax, and crop insurance. They are granted prices for 23 crops, and debts are waived when they are unable to pay off loans. At the root of this anger is the Indian farmers' deep distrust of market reforms. India's farmers are mostly small or marginal. 68% of them own less than 1 hectare of land. Only 6% of them actually receive guaranteed price support for their crops, and more than 90% of the farmers sell their produce in the market. More than half of the farmers, in the words of an economist, don't even have enough to sell. We will lose our lands. We will lose our income if you let big business decide prices and buy crops. We don't trust big business. Free markets work in countries with less corruption and more regulation. It can't work for us here, one of the main leaders of the agitation told BBC. Reforming farming in India is a fiendishly complex challenge. What appears to be clear now is that Mr. Modi's farm reforms were poorly conceived. Pushing them during a pandemic without consulting the main stakeholders flies against India's federalist traditions. Farmers complain of insufficient routes to settle disputes with private buyers in the proposed arrangement. Others wonder how transactions and policies will be tracked in an open market system. These laws are not supported by sufficient regulation. When you announce when you announce reforms without addressing all the concerns, they produce uncertainty and confusion. The moral of the story is Indian agriculture needs deeper structural reforms after consultations with stakeholders and political parties. Agricultural market reform is political, and The food on your plate is never a product of a total free market anywhere in the world. Words and meanings. Grinding. Of a difficult situation that never ends or improves. Grinding poverty. Standoff. Meaning a situation in which no agreement can be reached. Deadlock. Example, a standoff between the union and the management. On the boil. If a situation or feeling is on the boil, it is very strong or a lot of people are talking about it. The media are trying to keep the issue on the boil. Erratic, meaning unpredictable, unreliable. Middleman, man who buys and sells goods. Cartel, an alliance of business companies formed to control production, competition, and prices. Brew, develop threateningly.